Whether the context we live in is set by the ambitions of Elon Musk, Vladimir Putin, Cyril Ramaphosa, or other leaders of our time, it is critical now, more than ever before, for the Conscious Leadership and Ethics Summit to be an integral part of our annual business calendar. We have much to explore and learn together this morning. And to help us with that learning, I'm really delighted to introduce our first speaker, the founder and former CEO of Conscious Companies. Brenda's Conscious Companies idea started as a scribble on the page in the middle of the night after she emerged from meditation. It set her on a journey that would have an impact not only on her life, but on countless other organizations in her quest to build conscious leadership capacity. Brenda tells me often that she is getting too old for all of this, and as you know, has handed over the leadership reins of Conscious Companies to Paula Abel, from whom we'll be hearing later. You may have heard last month that Kane Takana, a Japanese woman who was certified as the world's oldest person, passed away, aged 119. Not that Ms. Tanaka was competitive, but she did not exceed the record set in 1997 by Jean-Louise Calment, who passed away in France at the age of 122. Apparently, she gave up smoking at the age of 117 because she could no longer see the cigarette to light it. Brenda, in comparison to Ms. Tanaka and Ms. Calment, you have your second half century to complete, and we look forward to what you do next. Please put your hands together for Brenda Kali.
Thank you, Adam. I think you've misunderstood me. I'm never too old. I always tell my children, the day I feel old, that's the day I want to die, because I have the energy of a 45-year-old. Good morning. It's wonderful to see so many faces, familiar and not so familiar here, despite the challenges outside. Thank you for making the time to be here. I will keep this brief as there are many, many speakers here today who would share their wisdom and insights with you. We are especially honored to have with us our distinguished guest, Mohanji. You know, with a presence over 90 countries, he has taken time off from his hectic schedule to be here. Please give him a round of applause. A special welcome to Dr. Jan Bellman. From Germany, he was here in 2019 and he can't resist South Africa. And a sincere welcome to our local icons, Professor Mervyn King, Professor Bonang Mohali. Is Professor King here? I haven't seen him. And not to mention our speakers and panelists and our partners, without whom this summit would not have been possible, especially Merrick Abel, CEO of PrimeServe, Bruno Oljehek from Nestle, Mikitika Sheshe from Unilever, and Richard Firth, the CEO of MIP Holdings. They have so generously given of their time and resources to support Conscious Companies over the years, not just for this event, throughout any initiative I've had. You know, a few weeks ago, Michael Juden, he's the chairman of the Conscious Leadership Academy, said to me, "What are you doing, Brenda? You are preaching to the converted in the room." Rightly so, because those present here today and those who have joined us virtually, whether conscious or semi-conscious, are like pebbles that create ripples in the vast, muddied waters of business and society. The terrible potentiality of humanity's ethical destitution, social upheaval, and shattered values are very real in terms of a pandemic, greed, corruption, global chaos, and the fog of violent self-interest. You know, with money, power, fame, and position, they've only seen as tangible realities, nothing else. The corporate agenda, too, driven by metrics, analytics, strategies, and the bottom line, in an over-regulated environment where BE codes, labor laws, and heavy penalties force leaders to go into a tick box mode. So much so that they have very little choice to engage or explore conscious leadership, let alone even exploring who they are themselves. However, there are exceptional leaders in this room, and many of them are partners, who try to balance both the corporate agenda as well as seek an intuitive grasp for deeper meaning and purpose, both in their personal and professional lives. There is a word in Sanskrit called Anichia. There is no English equivalent for this, but it best describes the impermanence of life in every second of every day. We live, as it were, on many levels of universal rhythm and frequency. This is the nature of change. We have to let go and accept change in everything that we do in order to flow with the motion of life. The comings and goings of things in this world is Anichia. But there's beauty in it too. The fact that things are evolving has some hidden marvel in it. So too is the Conscious Company story. As Adam said, it was born 6 years ago as a scribble on a page in the middle of the night after the meditation. And when I first started talking to CEOs, process-driven pundits, and various leaders about consciousness, their eyes glazed over and they laughed at me, remarking that my head was in the clouds. I had not imagined in my wildest dreams that we would unearth a niche of conscious ethical leaders who quietly go about balancing who they truly are as human beings with what they have to do and deliver to their stakeholders and shareholders. These are our partners and finalists of Conscious Companies. You know, over the years, I had laughed and cried, pushed and pulled, cajoled and voluntold. This is a word Adam invented for me. He always says, when I come to him, he says, "Are you voluntolding me again?" And through it all, you have not only supported me, but you've walked this journey with me. And even though you may understand conscious leadership cognitively, many of you still have to taste conscious leadership experientially or consciousness experientially. Like Roger Bannister did. You know, I'm sure all of you know who Roger Bannister is. He was the first man who ran the mile in less than 4 minutes. When asked in an interview in the media how he did it, this is what he said. He said, "No longer conscious of my movement, I discovered a new unity with nature. I had found a new source of energy, power, and beauty, a source I never dreamt existed before." What he had experienced was an instantaneous new level of consciousness beyond thought. And this is what tasting consciousness experientially is about. You know, the secret of conscious leadership is very simple. In Rumi's word, yesterday I was clever, so I wanted to change the world. Today I am wise, so I'm changing myself. The tagline of Conscious Companies Awards is humanizing business one leader at a time. And that no longer serves us, as the need is much greater, and there has to be scalability if conscious leadership is to become an integral part of the corporate world. The man who often talks to me about scalability, Merrick Abel, has thrown his weight behind Conscious Companies, and together with Hussein Kajika, the CEO of Mail and Guardian, they had committed to take Conscious Companies to the next tier. My vision is that it becomes a fundamental aspect of the corporate framework, so much so that companies would would and should seriously ensure having conscious ethical leadership at its helm, and that it would eventually become a requirement for most companies. The ultimate would be to originate a conscious company C Corp certification globally, born right here in South Africa, which provides very fertile soil with all our unconscious leaders. This can only be achieved if conscious companies is corporatized and scalable. I believe with your conscious continued support, this can be achieved. And with Merrick, Hussein, Paula, Guru, to steer it, it is in very good hands. To quote William Wordsworth, life is divided in 3 terms: that which was, which is, and which will be. Let us learn from the past to profit by the present, and from the present to live better in the future. This is the Conscious Company story. Thank you all.